Good evening and salutations, my Days of Elias fans. I'm having a very difficult time understanding the Stephanie character at this point. She goes to Sarah, and she tells Sarah everything about the letter. Now, she knows how Xander feels, and she knows Xander's history. And I understand that she's angry with Philip for lying to her, for could ruin her career, this could ruin Belle's career. I get that. But even with that being said, if this gets out, this can ruin her career. Why the hell do you think it's a good idea to tell Sarah this at this point? On top of the fact you know exactly how Xander is and what he would do when he finds out about this letter. And you just said, screw it. Why not? Plus, I'm not going to lie. A part of me, I don't want to, in the beginning when I was watching this morning, I was like, damn, that's some disloyal ass shit right there. You know? Like, yeah, okay, cool. I understand he lied and stuff like that. He wanted to get the company. He had his reasons, but he did lie to you and made you kind of look like Bull with a fool. Right? But you just sat there and ratted him out. And I'm like, you did this out of what? Spite? If she was a different character, she was like Kristen or just a spiteful character, then I can understand that. But it's like, you doing this can ruin your career. You're doing it can pretty much get him killed. And you're just like, oh. Now, let's sit there and say something did happen. Then she would stand there and be regretting it. Then she'd be like, oh, I know I was angry and stuff like that, but I really didn't sit there and think of that. Like that's the type of woman that she is. And then she goes to Mom Dukes and everything like that. And at this point, she's like, she's just going to take a pause on dating. We're going to take a pause on dating because ever since she's gotten to town, she's been with Alex, and then she was with Everett, and then she went back to Alex. Then she went to Philip, and she wants to be with Alex. So at this point, she was like, I'm just going to sit there and do me, focus on my career, and just kind of take a beat from the whole dating thing because clearly she ain't good at it. if we're gonna be honest. Um, Now, Kate isn't there scolding Philip on being careless and stuff, and Sarah. Now the thing is, Sarah goes to Philip at first, goes to Philip and confronts him about everything. But here's the thing, though. At this point, Kate's like, well, what are you really gonna do? Because if you wanted to sit there and tell Xander, you would have. But you didn't tell Xander. You didn't tell Xander because you know how Xander would react. Which is pretty interesting because it's like you married the guy. So you married somebody who has very, very, very little impulse control. I mean, she said herself that her job is to sit there and keep her man in line because apparently that's what you signed up for because that just makes sense for some odd reason. Um, and of course, you know, Kate was like, well, he would have got it, but his mental faculties and stuff like that, he was mentally ill. I'm gonna be honest, I am so sick and tired of people using mental health as some sort of get out of free jail card. I'm really am at this point. But of course, Philip sits there and pleads his case and does the whole "woe is me" and I want to sit there and prove to my dad and blah 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 blah. Don't take this away from me, poor Philip, kind of crap. Right? And of course, Sarah kind of buys into it, and eventually she goes back home. Now, there's not really much to the Xander part with Maggie because it was kind of uninteresting hearing him sit there and pretty much complain about rich people's problems. Boo hoo, I have to sit there and run $1 million company with my half brother who I don't like, and it's not there making decisions or preventing me from making decisions that I want to sit there and make. It's like, really? Like this is what we got going on at 6 o'clock in the morning? Hearing him sit there and whine, and then his little vague threats that he keeps sitting there doing, like, oh, well, if you don't sit there and get out of my way, I'm like, what are you gonna do, Xander? What are you gonna do? You're gonna kill him? Hmm? You're gonna kidnap him? You're gonna torture him? What are you gonna do? Because for all his talk about how he promised to sit there and not be separated from his family, he's making these snide comments up to a point. Maggie's like, yeah, they're not snide comments anymore. Like I can't tell with you at this point. And so she tries to get him to sit there and see reason. Oh, just work with your brother, just make it work out. And to some extent, when Xander was like, oh, how did that work out with you with Alex? I mean, at a point, they clashed so many damn times. It got to a point where she wanted him back. He was like, no, I'm good. I'm good. Of course, the money went to his head, and Alex turned into a dick, but still. But she does make him kind of promise to at least give it a try as far as working with his brother, just for the sake of for his own child and Sarah. And when Sarah gets home, Xander's like, it almost seems like Sarah's going to sit there and tell the truth, but Xander's like, yeah, I'm going to sit there. I made a promise to Maggie, and, I'm just going to sit there and try to make it work. It's best for the family. But the thing is, she hugs him, and she knows down the line, when the truth comes out, that Xander's going to be pissed off. Now, I don't think he'll be pissed off to leave her, but I think he will be upset with her. Which, on one hand, yes, it will be valid, but knowing how Xander is, could you really blame her? Um, what else happened in this episode? Chad runs into Cat with a C because apparently, um, you know, I mean, I guess you can actually use C as the name, but I don't understand why her name got actually has three E's in it. I don't I don't get that. Anyway, they run into each other, and he finds out that she is staying in Salem, and he at first he's like very flabbergasted. He's like, "Oh, all right, yeah, I guess." And I'm kind of just like, you do realize that you don't own Salem, right? Like that wasn't the attitude he had, but it was like I guess part of me was like you were just really stunned, like yeah, you're gonna have to run into her from time to time. So he's just pretty much kind of just catch up, and she tells him about how she's gonna, she already has a job locked up with Marlena and everything like that, and he pretty much is like, good luck. And they're gonna have to run into each other, so you're just gonna have to sit there and just tough it out. I mean, she's there for her sister, um, and everyone in that town is just gonna have to sit there and deal with it. I mean, hell, there's so many people that screwed up that had second and third chances and stuff like that. And given the fact that she didn't do this voluntarily, they're just gonna have to sit there and just kind of get used to it, especially Julie at this point. Um, and again, I get what she did, but for her to sit there and say, "Oh, well, there was another way," I was like, Julie, you're like 100-something years old. Okay, you sitting there telling me out of your many centuries of you being on this planet that you didn't do something and think, well, maybe there was another way to do it. So she can kind of miss me with that a little bit. Um, and then the last part is the Steve and Marlena scene, which is another thing that doesn't really go anywhere. I mean, most of it, they have some dinner or lunch or whatever. He does his best to sit there and try to calm her down, calm her fears, keep her mind off of the worst possible scenario. But after they're done and she leaves, Steve calls Shane is like, "Yeah, we need to talk, cause what's going on?" Now, unfortunately, we do know, we do know whatever it is, it's not going to be good, right? It's not going to be one of those. He's just riding off into the sunset. He found a new bull, whatever. We know that whatever it is, it's going to be bad. It's going to be sad because the actor passed away. Um, There's something interesting in my member stream yesterday. One of my guys, the Medics, was sitting there saying that they started shooting 6 months ahead because of the whole virus thing or whatever. But see, the problem now is that because they shoot so far, it's hard for us to not get spoiled, right? Like, there's so many articles, there's so many videos, there's so much everything that comes out, and it's like we have to sit there and try to always avoid 6 months worth of spoilers. It worked out during the virus period, but now it's like there's not really an excuse. Plus, if things don't go well, like let's say a couple or whatever, or a storyline, you're kind of stuck with that for 6 months. And I'm just surprised they didn't sit there and think, like, maybe they can use this whole body and soul thing as an example. I'm cool with the body and soul thing, but I'm a minority in this group. A lot of people aren't, and if they got to sit there and make any changes, we got to sit there and wait eons for that to happen. Um. Anyway, I feel like that's been about it. There wasn't really a lot to this episode. I just thought it was just interesting as Stephanie was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna sit there and just rat on you because it's the right thing to do." I'm like, I don't understand like how is that even gonna work? And plus, Sarah said she's not gonna say anything, right? So that means that Sarah's gonna have to go overtime with getting Bella or making sure that Stephanie doesn't tell Sarah, and that Sarah doesn't. All right, let me say this again. Sarah's gonna have to sit there and go overtime to make sure that Stephanie doesn't tell Belle, and that Stephanie just keeps it to herself because she just went out and just told just told her really fast, and I don't even. Again, she might have vaguely said why, and I don't remember. And even if she said it, it still doesn't make sense to me. Anyway, I'm not going to be live streaming tonight, but I will be back tomorrow, though, usual time. 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll talk about all the shows, Days of Our Lives, Blonde and Beautiful, Young and Restless, and General Hospital. With that being said, I'm going to go, and I will see you in the next stream, which is tomorrow.